Alright guys, so it's a sunny day today, and in this video I'm actually gonna share some insights, based on my own personal experience, right? So yeah, this video has no clear topic, no clear direction. It will just be me, guys, talking to you, right, and sharing some of the best insights, some of the best lessons that I have actually extracted from my very own life experience, and see if you yourself can actually take those insights, take those lessons, and actually implement them in your own unique life, right? So the first thing I'm going to talk about is basically goal setting, right? So I actually see most people, and actually did this same thing, by the way, when I was getting started, right? Getting started, I mean the time I made the decision that I'm actually going to start building myself. I'm actually going to start working on that mighty and great trajectory, to what I'm pursuing, to what I'm trying to become, to things that are actually going to fulfill me in my life. So when I got started, there is this way that I used to love to set my goals, and I'm glad I actually discovered the right way to actually set goals. So what most people do wrong when they're setting goals is that they try and set result oriented goals that they don't have control over, right? Most people set result oriented goals that they have zero control over. So if you don't understand what I'm talking about right now, don't worry, I'm actually going to help you understand exactly what I'm talking about by setting result oriented goals that you have zero control over. What I mean is, when you are setting goals, this could be financial goals, they could be your healthy goals, they could be your relationships goals, they could be whatever goal that you've ever set or you're planning on setting in life, right? What happens is that if you set result oriented goals, right, you are actually going to start doing things, or you won't be doing anything pursuing your goal until the deadline, right? Until you hit the deadline for your goal and realize that you actually exhausted the entire time and you didn't even accomplish not even a percentage of the goal that you set, right? Simply because you put that goal on a pedestal, right? I don't want to get too technical here. I want to keep things as simple as possible. So here is the thing. Let's say, for example, you've set a goal and your goal is to make $10,000. That's your goal before the end of maybe 2025, before the end of whatsoever. Your goal is to make $10,000, maybe before the end of the month, right? So what happens is that you don't have any measurable input that you should actually take in order to hit the goal, right? You don't have something that you can measure, right? Because whatever you cannot measure, the idea is whatever you cannot measure, you cannot improve. And if you can't improve it, you can't track it, you have zero control over the goal, right? You have zero control over the goal, over the target, over the mission, because you don't know whether you've done 1%, 5%, 10%, or if you've already hit your goal, right? So the only way you're going to find out if you set result oriented goals is when you've reached the deadline for your goal, and only to realize that you didn't actually meet your goal. Let me just break this thing down, because goal setting is super important, and how you set your goals also has an impact on whether or not you're actually going to hit those goals or not. So here's the thing. I'm gonna give you another example here. Let's say, for example, you want to build muscle, right? You want to build muscle, you want to have this healthy body, attractive body, good looking body, and that's your goal. So you see, the thing is, a goal like that is too vague. A goal like that has zero measure. You cannot measure keeping in fit. You cannot measure being in good shape. You cannot measure being healthy. What does being healthy look like to you, right? So firstly, you are setting a vague goal that you cannot measure, hence you cannot track. So here is the thing right now, right? I'm going to give you as many as examples as possible so you understand what I'm talking about right now. So, the previous example I gave, you have a goal to make $10,000, right? Remember, human beings have no control over the results because there are so many factors that influence the result you're going to get. So I'm going to list some of the factors right here, right? So the first factor that will influence the results you are going to get is the input, right? The input, every action, every step, every input towards the goal is going to influence whether you're going to hit the goal or not. That's number one. And number two, is the environment, right? The environment, you are playing, you are actioning that goal on is also going to impact the success or the failure of the goal, the environment, right? And number three, spirituality, whether you like it or not, it's going to influence whether you are going to hit your goal or not. Spirituality, that is God, right? So personally, I define a proud man as a man who is on his own, who thinks there is no superiority above him, right? Any man that thinks there is no superiority above him is a definition of a fool, a definition of a proud fool, right? So the actions you put in, right? Number one. Number two, a supreme being. Number three, the environment. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, plus other factors is what determines whether or not you are going to hit your goal, right? So now here is the thing. When we are setting goals, we want to ensure that we focus on things that are totally in our hands, right? Because there are certain things that are not in your hands. They are not at your disposal. You can't be thinking about things that are not at your disposal, ignoring what is in your disposal. So let me give another example here. Let's say, for example, you have a large farm, right? A large farm, and you want to plant maize. You can't be thinking about, when, the maize will germinate, when the maize will bear cobs of maize, when the maize, will be harvested, when you haven't even planted the seed, right? You can't be thinking about when the seed will germinate when you haven't even planted the seed, right? You can't be thinking about when, the seed will bear cobs of maize when you haven't even planted the seed. So what is at your disposal at that particular time is the seed. You have the seed, and what is in your control is you planting the seed, right? So when you plant the seed, the environment is whether the rain is going to fall or not, right? So that is beyond your control. If the rain falls, great, it's going to contribute to the seed germinating and hence bearing, cobs of maize, and you are going to harvest. That is basically what I'm talking about. So the seed in this context now are your actions, your daily actions. What you do every single day are seeds you are planting towards the goal that you have actually, drafted. That's the seed. And the rain falling in this context is the environment that you are in, right? Is the environment that you are in right now conducive for you to bear the results that you are trying to bear, right? Because certain environments, whether you like it or not, will not give you that conduciveness to actually attract the results that you are pursuing, right? So like I said, when I was starting this video, I didn't have a clear direction of what I'm going to talk about. So I just, grabbed my phone, grabbed my microphone, and boom, started shooting the video, and I just started speaking from there. So, and when I started speaking, I an idea struck in my mind, like, okay, maybe I should talk about goal setting, because I see most people, and I for one, when I was getting started, I used to set vague goals and clear goals, and I didn't know what to do with my goals, and I was never accomplishing my goals. Am I saying I'm 100% accomplishing my goals right now? No, not really. But yeah, I understand how to set my goals far better, 100x better than before, right? And I'm on the track to hitting the goals that I set right now, because firstly, I understand how to do it correctly, right? So, like I said from the beginning, most people set unclear, they set vague goals, that they don't have control over. And what happens is that they put those goals on a pedestal, which makes them 10 times impossible to accomplish the goals, to 10 times impossible to achieve the goals, right? Because we set result oriented goals, and results are not in your capacity. What's in your capacity are the actions, the reps, the input that you have to put in order to get the results that you want, right? So here is how it goes. There is input, right? Input is the very first thing that happens before you have an outcome. You have to input. So once you have that set of data, once you know exactly what you have to work on, once you know exactly your input, you have to now put in that input, right? Then what happens is that input is going to be processed. There's going to be processing that's going to take place. Then once it's processed, now you are going to get feedback or output, and you continue the cycle, right? So when you set a goal, for example, one of the goal could be a financial goal. $10,000 is the amount of money you want to make in, let's say, 12 months. That's a goal. You want to be in good shape. You want to build muscle, right? That's a goal, right? You want to have healthy, better relationships in your life. That's a goal, right? You want to, relocate from where you stay currently, maybe to another country, let's say US, Canada, Italy, whatever. That's a goal, right? So all of these things I mentioned right now, these are goals. But I'm not going to achieve these goals by thinking of how beautiful these goals look like in my mind, by sitting all there meditating upon my goals, visualizing, feeding my mind with all of these sugary dopamine triggering thoughts. That is not going to help me materialize my goals in reality. Okay, affirmations are good. Affirmations are good and are important. You must do them, right? Thinking about your goals is good. Meditation is good. Prayer is good. Do all of those things. But in the process of doing these things, never forget to input, right? So let me give you in the context of a farmer. You are a farmer, and let's say you have 12 hectares piece of land, and you are in the farming season. The farming season has come, and you have bags of maize at home that you need to plant, right? And all you do the whole day throughout the farming season is meditating, of how many cobs of maize you are going to harvest after, after the season, the farming season, how much money you are going to make, when you sell your crops, what car you are going to buy, what house you are going to buy, how beautiful how your life is going to look like after the farming season, because you have this big piece of land, and after crops have borne cobs of maize, you've sowed, things have gone well, you are visualizing how it's going to look like. That is good, Don't get me wrong, that is good, but that is useless if you don't carry the bags of maize in your house, storehouse, and plant, right, and allow the rain to fall, and you do the weeding, you put fertilizer on your land. If you don't do all of those things, trust me, that vision, that reality in your mind is going to be nothing but fantasy. The reality in your mind, it's real in your mind, it's true to your mind, it's true internally, but it's going to remain fantasy if you deprive yourself of the action, the reps, the input that you have to do in order for you to bring that reality in reality, to bring that which is in your mind in reality. So basically, that's about goal setting. So when you are setting your goals, what you want to do is, number one, you have to determine the output, which is the ideal outcome that you want, that you want, right? What is the outcome? What results do you want, once you've put in the efforts, the input, right? What do you want, right? You write it down. For example, I'll keep using the same examples I'm doing right now. $10,000 in cash, build a healthy body full of muscle whatsoever. You write it there. Healthy relationships, travel to Italy. You write down all those goals, right? So once you have a clear picture, a clear image of what you want, then what you're supposed to do is ask yourself one simple question: what should I do every single day to bring these goals in reality? So for example, making $10,000, I'm just gonna give you, I've never made $10,000 before. So making $10,000, it could mean that maybe you'd need to come up with a product that you're going to sell. I'm gonna give something realistic here. Let's say you're gonna come up with a $100 product that you're going to sell to 100 people. That's equivalent to $10,000. A $100 product sold to 100 people, it's equivalent to $10,000. So then what you're going to think about is, how are you going to get 100 people buy your $100 product? This could now mean, okay, you are going to run maybe Google ads, right? Then when you're running those Google ads, people are going to come on your sales page. When people are on your sales page, you're gonna, you're going to collect their details, their phone numbers, their email. Then you're going to maybe run email campaigns. Then from running email campaigns, maybe you're going to do a bit of some cold calls so you can increase your conversion rate, right? Get your first sale, your first 10 sales, first 20 sales. So now here we've mapped out exactly the input that we are supposed to focus on to bring that goal into reality. So the input is, okay, you're going to run Google ads, right? And those Google ads are going to help you generate leads. And once you've generated those leads and they are on your sales page, you're going to collect people's emails, phone numbers. Then when you collect people's emails and phone numbers, what you're going to do next is that you are going to now then start your email marketing campaign, right? Every single day, you're going to have to write pieces of copy that you're going to send out as campaigns to those leads. And maybe you're going to pick up your phone and call maybe 30, 40, 50 people every single day that register, for what you are selling, so you can increase your conversion rates and probably hit that goal, right? So now together we've mapped out exactly the action that we are supposed to take in order for us to hit the $10,000 goal, right? So now, instead of us focusing on $10,000, how life is gonna be beautiful when you make the $10,000, how you're gonna travel to Italy, to whatever country you want to travel to, how you're going to enjoy the money. Now we are thinking about the action, the input that we are supposed to constantly work on in order to get that result, the result in reality. That is how you set goals. Have a clear, well-defined outcome that you want. In this context, it's $10,000. Of course, you can map out exactly what you're gonna do with the money, how life is gonna look like, just to motivate you to work on your goal. And also, you have to reverse. You have to reverse and shift your thinking. People most likely run away from pain more than they run towards achievements. We are more reactive to pain than we are reactive to achievements, right? Pain gets people to take action more than achievements. What I mean right now is this. Put yourself in a situation where, let's say for example, today your landlord is going to evict you out of your house simply because you never paid rent. That is pain, because oh my God, you're going to live in the street until you find the next house. You have nowhere to go to. So now, because you've been confined in that painful situation, if you don't find the money today, tomorrow you are out of that house. What that is going to do is that you're going to work the whole day, the whole night, until you find the money to pay your landlord, so you are not evicted out of that house. So what has influenced you to work so hard to get the money? It's simply because you're trying to avoid the future pain that may come due to the consequences of you not working, of you not putting in the work. You see how that shifts your thinking. So now let's shift the scenario a bit. Let's say for example, you are in a comfortable house, right? And the goal is to move out of the house you are in to a better house. And you have to move there in 24 hours. You are going to procrastinate. You're like, okay, even if I don't move in 24 hours, I might move next month. The next month comes, I might move the other month. The other month comes, I might move that other month. Why is that happening? It's simply because, there is no pain attached to achievements. There is no pain attached to achievements. No wonder you always push them in the future, 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 because that achievement is actually, it's not as pain. It's not putting you in a position where it's a must. You have to get this done. That is why you keep on pumping it in the future, the future, the future, the future. And the more you do it, the further that goal gets ahead of you. But if someone was to hold you at gunpoint today, it's either you get it done or you are dead. Trust me, you will do whatever it takes. You put in brain power. You will work on that thing. You will not try to procrastinate. You unclog your mind, like you clear out all the web out of your mind to ensure that you get that thing done. Because it's either you get it done or you lose your life. Now there is pain there. It's either you find the money today or tomorrow you are evicted. There is pain there. So now I want you to visualize, how painful life is going to look like if you don't achieve the $10,000 goal, if you're not in good healthy, if you don't have wealthy and better relationships, if you are in that particular environment, let's say in the next 1 week, in the next 1 month, in the next 1 year, how painful will life be for you if you don't accomplish that? Trust me, that on its own, it will be a constant reminder of why you should wake up and get things done.